to stop and take a pause and reflect and record, you'd probably be able to take your day, your week, your month, and the activities that happen in those days, and you could probably put them or label them and place them, what it was and how much time it took. You're able to probably put them in one of three buckets. Number one is an activity that we would call whirlwind related activities. And what we mean by whirlwind related activities are those day-to-day actions that we take that are reactive. So maybe there's an employee issue or concern. Maybe there's a system or process issue or concern. Maybe there's a patient issue or family issue or concern. Maybe supply or equipment or whatever, right? So these issues that have to be noticed and resolved to keep day-to-day operations going, right? So that's what we call the whirlwind. So it's those actions that are usually reactive that are necessary to keep day-to-day operations humming along. Now, it's usually problem solving that is more firefighting and band-aid and reactive. It's short-term focused. It may not be root cause problem long-term solution focused, but it gets through the day, the week to keep operations going because they have to, right? We have to keep things going. And so as a leader, sometimes our time and energy is spent on those very things. If you're closer to the patients, you're closer to the employees, you're closer to the process in your role of leadership, like you're a lead tech or a charge nurse or something like that, or even a frontline manager or director, supervisor, you're likely going to have more and more interactions that are whirlwind related than maybe if you're the CEO, or at least we would hope that would be true, right? So whirlwind, and that actually can take up a majority of the time of your day or week. And if you thought about it and record it, and probably learn that to be true. And so that just comes with the business, right? Of being a leader, is that sometimes that is our role, is to tend to the whirlwind. The other bucket is what we would call management. And what I mean by management is those tasks that have to be done, again, that are short-term focused to keep operations going, but they're usually more proactive and not so crisis-based. So they're more planned. So what I mean by that is every 2 weeks when we do payroll, that keeps operations going. Or when we develop and publish a 4-week schedule, that keeps operations going. It's very short-term, task-focused, it's planned, there's a process, and we make that happen. So that's gonna take our time as well. So the whirlwind, short-term focused, usually reaction, management, often short-term focused, more usually on, a couple weeks, a month, or something like that. And it's usually more planned or management tasks related to keep operations going. And then there's a bucket we would call leadership. And what we mean by leadership is that outward, longer term improvement, future focused work that we do as leaders to move something better for the future. Now, when you became a leader and you took on that role, whether it's new to you or you've been doing it for a while, and maybe you've taken on many leadership roles, but when you take on a leadership role, you usually do that with the mindset of, I want to, through this role, make something better for the future, right? I want to make something better for the future. And so in this bucket of leadership is where we actually act on that, right? So when we make things better for the future, probably not the whirlwind, right? When we make things better for the future, probably not just doing payroll and putting out a schedule, right? But when we're leading in ways that improve something, advance a strategy, achieve a goal, help people elevate their behavior and performance and the way they perform their jobs to get better outcomes or results, that is leading towards a better future. Now, some of you probably have experience and degrees like I do. I was a healthcare leader for more than 22 years, many of those years in senior leadership roles in a healthcare organization as a chief nursing officer, a chief operating officer, interim CEO a few times. And so many of you, like me, may have advanced degrees, including master's degrees, right? or you have board certification in healthcare administration, or a bachelor's degree that had some leadership training or education in it. Maybe you've, on your own sought out leadership education, training, and development. But one of the things we know about the skills and the practices that are in this leadership bucket, rarely in a master's program, rarely in a bachelor's program, or rarely in a certification program or leadership conference you go to, will you learn the very specific actions you can take to be able to know what to do each day when you come to work, to be able to make things better for the future, right? You may learn about finance, you may learn about human resources, those kind of things. But did you really learn the core practices and actions that you can take every single day to truly know what to do that moves things better into the future? Moves people higher, moves results higher, progresses projects and aims. So this is what the leadership bundle is all about. So we've got these 3 buckets, one of which is the leadership bucket. And within that leadership bucket is the leadership bundle, 9 core leadership practices. Now we know we don't have a lot of time to spend in that bucket with those 9 core leadership practices, right? We're real about that, right? Everything that we teach, Jane and I, as the co-founders of this company, we've used ourselves in our own leadership as healthcare leaders. And over the course of the last 11 years, we've trained and mentored and coached hundreds of leaders, some of which were part of an entire leadership team that adopted this leadership bundle, right? And we've been able to monitor that every single one of these practices and the actions that you take that are embodied in these practices, that when you do these, they achieve certain results or impacts, right? They're not in here if they don't. So when I mentioned individuals and entire groups of leaders adopting this leadership bundle, what's so exciting about the leadership bundle approach to the new way of leading is that it is synergistic, and you can adopt it for you and get a synergistic positive impact in your own leadership to make things better for the future, right? You can use these 9 core practices yourself. Or if you're in a team of leaders or an entire organization where you're adopting it, it is even more powerful.